Boston Suns acquiring Bradley Beal. What do you think of the move and how he fits in with the Suns?
I think he's going to be like the Ray Allen of the big three. He's going to have his catch and shoot game on point, because if Devin's going to be the lead guard making plays, and then Durant, he can make plays too. So, Beal can do it, not at the level of those two, but he can knock it down, maybe at a higher clip than Durant and Booker. So I see a lot of catch and shoot. I see him being guys that the plays called for him off screens to hit shots. And I'd be curious to see, although he did talk about him and Hayden, he hasn't been with the big like that. I'm curious to see how that plays out with that dynamic. I was curious last year with Durant and him. Kind of was iffy. It would work sometimes, and then sometimes like, whoa, what is this? I'm curious to see if Bradley can make that connect. And the guy can put it in. He's a pure scorer. How the Suns, Vogel, and Kevin Young figure this out, this offense for those three guys, I'm very curious to see how this looks.
Obviously, a lot of people have been comparing it to what KD and the Nets were trying to build with their big three. Right. Do you see that comparison, or do you see them as kind of a different, maybe more interchangeable type of big three?
I don't know, because James is more like what Devin is going to be. James Harden gets people involved. Mm-hmm. It's just that he just can score it. And then Kyrie is more dynamic than Bradley with the bounce. But Bradley is a better shooter that's like straight up just shooting the ball. Mm-hmm. So I think there are similarities. Of course, with Durant, it's going to be from this point forward, whoever he goes with or whoever team he's with, if they add a couple players, the comparison's going to be there. But I can see similarities, but I do think that Booker's younger than Harden and can do more at this point in his career than James. And then Bradley complements those two because he can shoot it. Whereas in Brooklyn, Kyrie and James both can do off the dribble, and then they're always trying to figure out who's going to do what. And then it seemed like Kevin was just kind of caught in the middle of that. So I don't see him being caught in the middle of this situation.
For the rest of the roster, obviously they had limited means to work with, rounding it out. What do you think of the job they did with all those free agency moves that they
Considering it was going to be all vet mims, they got the job done for real. I was shocked to see who they brought in. Bex Drop, he could play. I know he was in San Antonio. The numbers don't show as far as the scoring average, but he is a very good addition for this team. And then on top of that, to get a big and Eubanks active. Yuta can shoot it, although I keep hearing, he's an underrated defender. I'm still going, I didn't see it. Maybe it's something I just missed, I didn't see the defense that they're talking about. But if in order for him to play, you're going to have to be able to do that. Looking at Brooklyn, he hardly played in the postseason. So I'm like, okay, what? He's a mystery. Right. I'm curious to see what he does. And then Metu is like a undersized, big, that can be active. I'm curious to see how they try to fit them in. And then Kogi and Lee, very interesting. They brought those two back. I know Torrey was obviously, people were, we want Torrey, and it's interesting because Kogi, because he can defend, I still keep believing he may end up being the fifth guy because they need somebody to guard. Now if Base Drop can do it at a decent level, he'll be out there starting. I think he's going to start anyway. But I think Kogi is the one I'm curious to see. How does he play in terms of, because he's got to make open shots, and he did not do that when it mattered. Yeah. And that's why he didn't play. So I'm curious to see what he does. And then Lee, I still think it's a show and prove. Can you shoot like that again? Right. Because in the playoffs he couldn't. So what's the crazy thing right now about the Suns is that they're at a point now where it's sad to say this, the regular season don't matter. Yeah. Like it really does. Like right now, it's like everybody done fast forwarded past the regular season and said, hey, when they get in the postseason, blah, blah, blah. Now you would like to see the big three play together X amount of games, you don't want to see 16 games like they had in Brooklyn. You want a high number of games in the regular season to build that chemistry. But the fact that they traded away Chris Paul and they got back somebody younger, who fits what they do, can play faster.
Well, to your point, it's hard to project because the regular season doesn't matter. We need to see how the big three pans out, how some of these new guys look. But in your mind, do you think that their offseason has put them on the same level as the Nuggets in terms of the number one team in the West?
I wouldn't say at the same level. I would say they're right there. Denver, man, they got to deal with that big guy.
Yep.
They got to deal with Jamal Murray.
Yep.
They got to deal with Mr. Gordon.
Yep.
And then they won without Michael Porter Jr. not even really being a factor. I mean, he played great in the deciding game. I think it was game 5.
Yeah.
He played great. But he didn't have a great playoff.
No.
And they won it with basically 8 dudes. I mean, Bruce Brown is gone. That's a huge guy leaving. But Caldwell Pope, I saw Christian Brown in the hallway, just hanging out.
He's been walking around.
It's like whatever, But he's a huge part of what they're going to do next year. So, I wouldn't say they're there with Denver. I would say they're as close to Denver as anyone else, and that's saying something considering, what's going to be coming up the pike with teams in the West. I mean, this is going to be. It's going to be insane basketball across the board. I wish all this they could just sort of put it in a bottle and just sort of ship it and get to the real stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll take this.